Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Starbase friends around the world. Astro Joe here for RGV Aerial Photography, Starbase Weekly, episode 131. We've got some great images taken from RGV yesterday, Friday the 30th, around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. So we got a great show for you. I'll pass it on over to your host, Stephanie.
G'day everyone, g'day from Australia. I'm Stephanie B. We've got Ryan Weber from NSF with us again this week. G'day Ryan.
How's it going, Stephanie?
Well, thank you. And how's your weekend going over there?
No, it's going good. I have to go back to work tonight, but yeah, it is what it is.
And we've got with us as well, we've got Alex. How you going, Alex?
I'm doing great today. It should be a fun show.
Okay, with that, let's jump over to Massies. Okay, things are a little bit quiet around Massies these days, as we've seen over the last few weeks, with things sort of starting to finish up here and there. But this week we have Test Tank 16, we saw last week, back again. And this week they've hooked up the blue rods the 20 blue rods, which will pull down on the cap. So it's its crusher configuration right now. Here's a better photo with the brighter colours. So we can see just a couple of things. We can see they haven't as yet hooked up these 5 rams yet, which is interesting. So with the 20 rams, they're kind of limited how much off-center load they can pull. These ones here should offer a lot more asymmetrical loading. And we can also see they haven't hooked up the actuators in here that will load up the hinge point in here. Ryan, what's your thoughts on not having these 5 rams hooked in yet? And I imagine they will hook them up.
I don't know. Maybe they don't need it right away for this set of testing. Maybe they'll do it Maybe they just haven't hooked them up yet because they might get in the way hooked up, and let's just leave them dangling for now. There can be a lot of different reasons as to why. Having them hooked up to the cap says that they'll use them at some point. Just don't know when.
Cool. And we can see, as previously predicted, that the collars, when we saw these on the ground, this particular collar ran right back on the threads, and we could actually see the end of the pole. We could see flush with the end of this with this collar. So now they've got it screwed down over the rams. So we were correct in assuming that these rams had a thread on top of the load cell here. So that was a fairly easy installation, just running that joiner down the thread, and that way you don't need to rotate the rod at all. And the same all the way along. These can thread up or down to undo a section. And I think we've got a detail on one of them. I'll just have a quick look around where we can see the actual top of the... Yeah, there's one there. We can actually... Is that one? Yeah, that's one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we can see the actual top of the rod, and there's a square piece in there that it lands on top of the can crusher. So they've hooked up the cryogenic pipe. Just going back on those pipe actuators, the hydraulic supply and return, the common rails here appear to have been hooked up in here. So yeah, there's a good chance they will use them in this test sooner or later. Perhaps they were just not hooked up yet because they might have been in the road, like Ryan said.
You might want to validate the control of the 20 before having to synchronize with the outer 5 as well. Just part of the checkout.
Yeah, this would be the first time they're using this entire thing since they started building it, 8-10 months ago at this rate? So, yeah.
Okay, so moving around the back of the test structure, we can see last week there was some stands sitting over near the entryway with some verticals attached to them. Here we can see them installed on the various levels here, and with the vertical we saw earlier being extended, and there's some stairways in there, so they're going to have platforms all the way up by the look of it. They don't seem to correspond with the level on that particular one, but that one does. So there'll be another level up here to correspond with this area, I'd imagine.
I believe it's to the left of the crane right now.
Oh, there's another one, yep. So the rest of them... Okay, so there's another one. Oh, that must have moved during the show. I thought we saw two down here through the show anyway. Oh, there's a
two.
second one there. Yep, gotcha.
It's hiding.
I love doing that. Okay, we can see they've tipped the, whatever you want to call this base structure back on its flat. They tipped it up just to get those tanks through, I guess. It's interesting to have it installed this yet, or interesting to see what actually happens with that little disc, how it's going to interact, and we're guessing it'll still be some kind of puck shucker.
Probably just don't need it for ship aft. If they do, my guess is that'd be in use for the next booster aft to go in there. So whenever that is, honestly.
So yeah, they haven't upgraded the booster to version 2 yet. So at the moment, everything's about ship testing for the new version 2 ship, which in SpaceX style, they like to do the testing at the same time as they build it. Yeah. Which is a strange kind of logic, but anyway, it seems to be working for them.
Just before flight, they'll validate it.
Yep, as they always do.
I was
going to say, I think like the only piece of hardware that they truly validated before they built the final product to go on a flight vehicle was the hot stage ring. And that's like the only thing they truly validated before they built it. Or at least that we saw that it appeared, because they built that hot stage ring test article, did all the testing, and then eventually we saw a more beefed up one go on to booster 9. So I think it's like the only time I can think if they actually validated something before, putting it on a flight vehicle.
Okay, an interesting little detail. They seem to have a little plate over the quick disconnect port here. I'm not sure why. And there's still a hole here, of course. As I'm reminded earlier, this is in the aft skirt section of the common dome. The aft dome would be there where the stringers are. So the tank is still sealed up top here. So it looks like they're getting ready to cryo test this particular. Now, still not sure if I suppose they're doing both at once. I think we discussed this over the last few weeks. They're validating an article and they're also validating the actual test structure.
I'm assuming they have a connection below if they're going to put LN2 in. Because this looks more like
I would assume they have a way to empty it at the bottom somewhere.
Yes, they would be. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
You would think. Possible. Or they just fill it and they let it boil off. It'd take a while. But,
I think it's safe to assume there'd be some kind of. We can't see. Not sure whether when we see it empty, whether we could actually see any plumbing either down here to, like, even underneath, but it's right underneath, down through the bottom of the aft dome, or whether it's off to the side here through the side somehow. I'd imagine it's somehow down through the skirt, to be honest.
probably if that actually has a ship thrust puck on it, it's probably just hooked up to one of the LOX inlets on one of the center engines would be. The others are blocked off, and any drain line's probably hooked up to that because it's literally at the bottom of the puck. So it'd be a perfect way to drain it.
That'd make a lot of sense. We can see the way the rams are extended here. They've got quite a lot of scope for. I mean, we'd hope they wouldn't pull it down quite that far. Something's gone wrong if that happens. Okay, I'll have a quick look over at the flame trench. There wasn't much to look at over here. They still haven't hooked that. That was a question I see through the week where they've hooked up that last heat exchange, but it doesn't look like it.
Just looks nice and clean.
Have they cleaned? Oh, yeah, they're
Just
still a bit dirty here and there. I think the rain's cleaned the place up a little bit.
It looks like they painted the black pipe where it was all rusty on the forward one. Keep going. The one that's all heat exchangers, it's all rusty. The pipe, it looks like they cleaned. Just complete trivial.
So yeah, of course. They love the colour rust at Starbase, I must say. Okay, okay, we got any questions and donations, please, for Massies, Joe?
Indeed, I want to thank a lot of people. Methane Man for gifting 5 memberships, Jake Winlow for gifting 5, Patrick Scott for gifting 1, Callistia Lee gifting 5 memberships, Rocket Prophet gifting 5, and Toby Woby gifting 5. I screwed up my question bot, so I got a lot of scrolling to do. I want to thank Wilbur Baggins for a £2 super chat. I wait for all of these. Thank you all. And Methane Man coming in with a $50 super chat. More fuel, more better. Agreed. Thanks for the support. As well as Rocket Prophet jumping on that train. Hopping on that train with Methane Man. Team RGV rocks. Thanks for the support and keeping RGV in the air, guys. All right. Questions. The Procky. Could the QD test be related to the orbital fuel refueling? The QD might move around in 0G as the two starships dock together.
Which QD? The QD test? You mean the test that they're on that block right there? Well, there would be two. There would be basically two QDs because they're yeah. Because it'd be kind of hard to put that thing together because you have to have a whole docking procedure with it. So you have to have a docking port up top. Trying to think off the top of my head here. You're not going to want this thing to move around a lot when you're transferring a ton of fuel. That would be bad. It's probably going to use the same docking system that Dragon uses the ISS. I would assume just a docking interface, like a universal docking interface, because then it makes it easier to dock to from other vehicles or whatnot. So, but I don't think so. We're not at tankers yet. I'll just put it that way. SpaceX isn't there yet.
All right. Question from Kanan Copeland. When we are at the launch site, are those steel pads on the landing rails expendable? It seems like they would get crushed. Yeah, sorry, I didn't screen that before reading it, but that's at the launch site.
I don't. I think SpaceX is trialing something, and we're just gonna have to wait and see. Kind of on that.
Agreed.
They seem to like them when they did the last B14.1 test, but we can talk about that more when we get to the launch site.
All right. So another question from Kanan Copeland. When ships come out for cryo, ship 33 next, will it stay and also do a static fire in one trip?
No.
Well, they can't do that. So when they do a cryo right now, they use a specific stand to do the cryo. It's their thrust sim stand. And with it being a brand new ship, with probably changes to the thrust puck and other changes here and there, they will most likely use the same stand and take it to there and do it. They cannot put it on that stand with engines on. That would damage the engines pretty badly. You wouldn't even be able to get it on the stand for that matter. They would have to use a crane to put it onto the static fire stand and then install engines. So what they'll do is they'll roll it back to the launch site, to the production site, install the engines and roll it back out. Then I guess people ask, well, why don't they just put it on the Massies static fire stand with engines and cryo it there? Well, they can't. At least as far as I'm aware, unless something changed or I missed something, they don't have LN2 loading capabilities on that stand.
And the QD would be the wrong height
to
have the static fire stand in here. It wouldn't even fit, I wouldn't think, in here anyway.
No, it wouldn't even fit there.
So generally, just to recap, let's go back on that question a tiny bit. These cryo stands here are testing stations for booster and ship. Even when it's not a new airframe for now, they're doing their like a QC test, making sure all the welds and everything in the ship and all the plumbing and everything's up to scratch, ready for flight. And they do that with the puck shucker so they can push on the welds and make sure everything's all welded properly and ready for engine installation, ready for flight. Then, like Ryan said, they can roll it back and install the engines.
It's also doing a treatment to the metal to relieve a lot of, and it's a sort of annealing process as well.
And cleans the inside. And just when you flow locks and LN2 through it, just kind of cleans pipes, cleans valves. So it's a multiple things in one procedure when they do a cryo proof test. And it's going to be a bit before 33 does one, probably at least a month or two would be my guess, minimum. And I doubt we see a static fire until early next year. If you want to go like to ship 30 between when it was stacked and when they had a cryo, when they did a static fire on it, it was about 8 to 9 months between finished stacking and statics. It's kind of like the timeline that's been around a lot of the ships. 31 seems to be taking a little bit longer. We're approaching almost 10 months since they stacked it. And, well, it hasn't static fired yet, so, yeah.
All right, I want to thank RC Horseman for 27.99 Canadian Super Chats as a little help for the coffers. Thank you very much, RC. Appreciate you. Question from Sites Family. I know it's unlikely, but could SpaceX build a second flame trench for Massies? And then, as a follow-up, Kenan Copeland also asked how much ship production requires a second flame trench at the test site.
The question's been asked a few times, and for now we think not. Perhaps if they have two static fire stands instead of two static fire trenches would achieve a similar outcome because, as Ryan's saying, there's the time between building ships and static firing, and then actually between the time one ship's finished ready for static fire and then the next one's finished ready for static fire, there's plenty of time to bring another ship in and out on a second static fire stand. I think would be more the logical way to go about that.
And I know, what was it, the last two vehicles that did static fires on this stand. It did take a bit for them to get to that point once they rolled it out. I mean, 26 sat there for a while, but that's because they were just learning the stand and just starting to use it. 30 took like, what was it? Let's see here. 30 rolled out. That was 5 days. Took them 5 days to static fire it after they rolled it out. My guess is it'll go a little bit quicker in future, which they will be able to roll out and static fire the next day. They've been able to do that with boosters on the OLM, so I'm assuming it'll just get faster as they learn the systems as they get used to it. So I think building another static fire stand would be the way to go, not another trench. That takes a while. So
Agreed.
All right, that's all of the relevant questions I've got for you.
Just going back to that airplane, we had a nice picture of the new 737-800. I won't get Ryan starting talking on that because he'll talk about it all day for us. Have a quick look at the commercial block here. It's still relatively static, just a little bit of drainage work perhaps going on. So we're a bit, I think SpaceX was saying there's a bit of a cash flow issue with the construction on this site, so we may see that in the future. So with that, we'll jump over to, I mean, isn't it pretty though? Isn't it really pretty the way they got the hexagons and the logos on it? Looks pretty cool.
Looks like a model.
I vote 3.7s without the winglets always look weird to me, but that's just me. I like the winglets. Scimitar's look a little weird, but I like the winglets on them.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you there, right?
I wasn't going to go any farther than that. Don't worry.
I would have baited you along.
Okay, under Sanchez. All right. There's not a lot we can see different around the actual GC building. So perhaps there's a ton of plumbing, perhaps getting prepped in here still for the new tank farm, I would imagine. Looks pretty quiet. We still can't see into that shed. I mean, there's this nice angled photo. We almost get a hint. We almost get a tease of a hint. We can almost see under there, but alas, it's not to be. And okay, we'll move over to this area just quickly. They've installed the new slides and put the clamps back on to the second booster transport stand. There's speculation we may see this happen with the first transport stand as well. They seem to have had trouble with rust developing in these slides, so they seem to have a new material, or at least a new coating. And oh look, just for a change, they've got one retracted. Not much work on the other stand. Just moving quickly to the rest of this area, there wasn't a lot of change when they're working on these two. Still not sure if they belong together. It still looks like they may belong together. They are working on them, but just very, very slowly.
Looks like there's a third set for the middle stand of the materials for it at the inventory tent.
I think we saw.
There is also right by the loading dock. There's another set.
Whoops. I do that all the time. Either drag them down here or click that. Yep, there's another set here too. So yeah, there's another one of these. Oh, and they've cleared the other shelf. They've taken the other shelf away this week.
Trying to get everything inside, I guess. At least what they can.
So you're not scrapping old version 1 bits and pieces, are they, finally?
Kind of
Yes.
outdated at this point. Very outdated.
Okay, let's jump over to the question mark stand. So we've got some nice rebar, I call it Aussie, nice Rio work going on. With we can see the embeds here. And not a lot of detail in the embeds. I think these ones are actually upside down. There's a better photo, I think, with the spikes sticking up here at the moment that tie into the steelwork. And on this photo, we can see they're actually lifting them in, doing the old tandem lift trick here with the two backhoes. I mean, with the backhoe and the excavator. And here you can see the steel bars that tie into the steelwork. Would you call them Nelson studs?
They're shear transfers. And if you look, you can see the 3 pile tops in the holes.
So 12
Sorry, in this
piles
photo?
in 12 piles in total.
Yes.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Hang on.
Kind of an odd place. Huh.
Should be able to see them in here, shouldn't we? Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
They have some form work around that lower right one.
Yep, so once they drop this on, they'll be able to fill it full of concrete. I'm just wondering how they're getting concrete fully up underneath that one. I suppose I'll just dig
There's
it.
there's some 5 holes in the top of it.
Oh, is that what I was wondering what that black mark was? Yep, cool.
It's concrete. SpaceX is pretty good with it.
Possibly. Question is what they're going to build there.
Yes, that's the $1 million question. And this game, yeah. OLM. It screams OLM, but yeah, I guess we'll soon see. I mean, it's kind of like what else? It's kind of like what else needs, sort of like what actually needs building. There's not many things that are that heavy that needs building. Although we do, as we do recall, when they built the original OLM, they just did it on concrete. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, in that small of a space as well, it's kind of hard to try to think of what would need that.
It's about the size of the flame trench width between the sheet piles. So it kind of screams OLM.
We'll put that in the bag of crows for you. Okay, just quickly, static fire stand here. We've got the SPMTs under it, And we'll go back on that when we get to the build site, when we have a look at ship 31. So we may be seeing static fires sooner than you might think there, Ryan.
Maybe. Couple of possibilities for that vehicle.
It's so confusing at the moment with what vehicles are doing with what. It's been confusing since ship 26. Okay, through the week we saw them take some of the accumulator tanks off this carriage and swap them out with some of the ones over at the launch site, which is an interesting turn of events. Instead of buying new ones, SpaceX loves to do this sort of thing. Considering how much money they spend, they're kind of keen on saving money here and there as well.
I mean, they're going to have to replace those one way or the other at this rate, whenever that thing is ready to go on that tower.
Wonder if they're a special order, like and they need time to get them built. Okay, on the chopsticks, still not much work on the chopsticks. Personally, I think they're waiting to see a bit more data on the current chopsticks before they start adding more things. They've still got the stoppers on these ones, so there's still a lot to be done with these. And we should imagine these will go up ready for catching rather than Tower 1 where they got installed without the catching mechanism fully finished.
Yeah, those are going to need a ton of work to get them to the point of where they're making the current sticks are. They're, I wonder if they'll learn, maybe we do need a little bit more play with on the end, and they won't be as short. But we'll see.
And I'm wondering if the shorter sticks will need all the extra reinforcement they're doing on the Tower 1 at the moment. Okay, the actuators haven't had any work done to them. We've got, I think they're finished pretty well, the work over here. I think I've covered everything in that little area. We inevitably always end up missing something here or there. It's all good. A little bit of line painting work since last week. Nothing really major in that area. B4. Oh, go on.
And say, I think those are the are those the vaporizers from the orbital tank farm?
I thought those 4 have been there for a
Or
while.
they've been
The
there
2
for a while. I can't remember.
I haven't found where the 2s they moved this week went.
This is last week.
Oh, so it's all been there. All right.
These are new. Yeah. Oh no, they were there.
Ignore me then.
Oh, sorry, that was a bit fast there. Sorry, YouTube. Okay, we can see Booster 4 still has some engines underneath it. Probably the centers, or at least some of them, part thereof. Just while we're here... Oh, go on.
Oh, I was saying we could contrast the hot fire stand and the cryo stand with all the thrust pucks.
True. So part of qualifying a brand new airframe is to put on the puck shucking stand here, and we can see the RVAC and the center engine rams, where you cannot have engines, obviously, for this stand with all this equipment up actually under the skirt. Whereas, the static fire stand, as we well know, just has a ship sitting on top with a great big hole in the middle for static firing. And the same with the booster here. The booster has only for the center engines, the center 13. Did you see me do my maths just then in my head? That's 33 minus 20. Anyway. Okay, while we're here, we might have a quick look at booster 14, 14.1. I think it's had a new thing added to the forward dome.
It looks like it's a port, probably to fill it up with water for ballast, because they might drop test this sucker. They might.
So there's a lot of talk about the drop test, and I hear everything from it actually dropping to perhaps not dropping, but quickly like releasing close to it. Let's try to simulate the booster's slow velocity rather than actually drop it. Obviously, SpaceX, the crane operators have a way to be able to release a load without the crane bouncing too much, not damaging the crane. Obviously, they have a workaround for that. Now, just while we're here on this, I'll just switch over to Twitter. I'm just going to assume we're allowed to show public Twitter feeds. And thank you, Jenna. She's been doing some awesome photos just in the last little while around Starbase. It's been awesome. So they put a new
Lift, basically lift point on it.
a new lift point, and they've. I wish I had the photo. There's a photo around. Sorry, where they had Booster 3 had this sort of similar pin arrangement with a hook under it, under here. Perhaps that's something to do with dropping, or perhaps they're going to put a strap around this because now they haven't.
Something.
Yeah, because now they haven't got the protective plastic under here to put the straps, so maybe they need an alternate way to lift it. We saw them. So this has been added on the outside, but we saw them through the week, or last week, sorry, replacing the actual whole arm for the lift points over there on Le Padre cameras. A few sensors, the beautiful wiring for their sensors. It's here. Sorry, it was here we saw it. Yep, here it is. Here you can see the hook here. I knew I had it somewhere. And here you can see the plastic to protect the straps, which obviously isn't there at the moment. So they may use this old load spreader with the hooks on it. I don't know that we've seen this for a little while.
Yeah, the other thing is if they were to use a strap with the protector piece on the bottom of the lift point, it might interfere with them actually lowering it onto the sticks itself. So having this allows them to lift it using a good enough load spreader, but not interfere with the actual pins going into the sticks themselves. So
be sure to look up Jenna Hammer and give her a follow over there on X. Thank you very much, Jenna. Okay, back to our photos. Some nice low altitude photos this week, and some overhead photos at the higher altitude, which is awesome to see. And I think we're pretty well covered. Sanchez now. I might go to some questions and donations, please, Joe.
I only got a single question from this session. The Eric asks, do you think a dual stack before IFT5 is a possible idea?
a dual stack?
Maybe a full stack? I'm not sure.
I was going to say, full stack before. Well, they'll have to stack it before Flight 5. That's what you mean. I don't know what you mean by dual stack.
I'm thinking maybe he's talking about some Flight 6 hardware.
Oh. Well, it can't do 2 stacks at once. That's not possible. There is no OLM 2 stack on at Pad B. That'd be a little bit hard to do. And the Flight 6 vehicles are not ready for stacking. Booster, both of them have completed cryos. Neither one of them have completed static fires. So, yeah.
All right. Crane Man says the max winch speed of the LR11000 is 120 meters a minute. Does that coincide with the landing speed of the booster?
Oh. Trying to think of
Come
what
on,
the
Ryan.
landing speed of the booster is, right? Because the booster's going to be, it's.
Come on, Ryan. Give us your maths.
Well, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what the landing speed of the booster is. It should be the real kicker is it's more going to be just load testing the landing rails. I don't think they'll drop it. And I guess say when I say drop test, my guess is they will just lower it as quick as they can or as quick as they are comfortable with lowering using the 11K onto the sticks and load testing the landing rails. That's my guess is what they will do. So yeah, that would be my guess. While it's filled with water. So like it'll be when they lower it, they'll probably have that thing weigh 350 tons, give or take. So it should be fun. It should be a pretty good test for it. Obviously, overall, the best test is going to be actually catching a booster, but they want to be able to load test these correctly to make sure they're not going to bind, to make sure they'll come down at relatively the same rate, so you don't have the booster slip, go the wrong way. That wouldn't be good.
I'd imagine the dampeners are somewhat adjustable. Maybe they need to fine tune all the dampening system as well with this sort of a test.
Yeah, that'd be my guess is what they're going to want to do with this kind of testing. And then I don't know if they'll do more slap testing with it. They might with all the other additions they've done to it. And then don't be surprised if all of a sudden 14.1 rolls back to the production site and they go right back to working on the sticks again and go, we actually need to do this too. And we're back to another 2-3 weeks of work. This is a process that's going to take a while, so we'll have to wait.
Joe, was that 180 meters a minute?
120 a minute.
120, yep.
That's still 2 meters a second, so that would put a pretty good load.
Yeah, that would cover it.
All right, that's all I got for Sanchez.
Okay, we can move over to the build site. There it is. Okay, some nice little panoramic of the build site in Sanchez. Now we'll just zoom in here and have a look in here. No, I'm kidding. Let's start around at the back of Mega Bay 2. They did have some barriers here last week, and this week, they seem to have cleared them away. And it looks like they're getting ready to finish off the concreting along this edge here.
Looks like they just poured some. They're finishing it.
It looks like
That'd
they're
be nice.
flattening it out there.
Yeah, they're because he has the screen or
the helicopter. Yep.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of tribute concrete. It's always getting concrete. It's always concrete at Starbase. Oh, I have two. That's a better photo. You can see it through there. So this would be more of that walkway, perhaps, we've seen all the way around Starbase, around the village. Yeah, that photo shows it. Oh, there we can see it quite clearly there. The concrete goes to about there. Can you see that under the banner? I think you can. Yeah. Okay, we'll go over to the bays. We might start with ship 31. We can see that they've... Oh, distraction. Sorry. We can see that they've taken the scaffolding away and they've got the SPMTs, can you see it, over here underneath the static fire stand, which could indicate a static fire stand coming up for ship 31, which has its engines, and they haven't changed all the tiles yet, so it's kind of a
They
bit weird to doing that.
They barely done any of it. Yeah,
Go on.
I was gonna say it sat there for like 2-3 weeks. They did the tip of the nose cone, and like one or two other locations, kind of. They stripped more tiles than they replaced, and they redid the top of the nose cone, and that's kind of all they did. And then they took the scaffolding away. Yeah, I don't really know what their plan is for this ship. I mean, the SPNTs under the static fire stand could indicate that they're going to take it. It also could indicate that they're going to roll the static fire stand back to Massies and park it there. I don't know. But like, there's like, I can think of a couple possibilities for 31. One, they're going to static fire it and then they'll finish off the heat shield. Two, they'll do it in Mega Bay 2. Maybe it's ready. I don't know if the work platforms have all been installed and everything at this point, because they had folding down work platforms they were still trying to get installed in there. Or three, I guess three, it's not going to fly. Maybe they don't fly 31 anymore with how far along 33 is. I don't know.
You're not suggesting the S word, are you?
I will.
I mean, the real quick question is how long would it take them to actually get to that point? I mean, they just installed the engines, but like, you know how long it takes them to scrap things at Starbase. I mean, heck, if you look at the scrapyard, the hot stage ring test article is still there, and that's over a year old at this point. Not to mention 26 is still there, or not to mention 20 is still there. Bits of Booster 4 are like they just like so. We'll see.
So we'll have to keep an eye on Ship 31. Should be excitement guaranteed one way or the other, as always. So we'll just go backwards through the bays here. Let's go back to going to Mega Bay 1. This F4 section is now inside the Mega Bay, which is the final section final barrel for the methane tank. So once they've welded that up, they'll be able to fully stack booster 15. And we can see it's 11, 12, 13, isn't it, in the background there? I mean, sorry, 12, 13, 14. I'll get my numbers right. And we've got some chines missing, and some grid fins was over here missing. So some chines and grid fins are getting installed on at least one of the boosters. And some, we think, are some raceway jigs. This is about a photo.
I rolled one back to the factory between those two shots.
Is it, or is it hidden? Oh, that sticks out the side. Yep, you're correct. Of course, you're correct.
Or enjoying crow.
Yeah, and I think those were the raceway jigs right there that are sitting right in front of the bay, the long black poles there. They did roll a full raceway out of Mega Bay 1 last night. You could see the wires hanging out of it. So I don't know what they're doing. They may have just taken a raceway off of a booster. So yeah, I don't know. SpaceX is doing something in there. We just can't see anything anymore in there. So.
And then they quickly shuttle it back into the factory.
Yeah.
Okay, also in this photo, maybe this photo shows it better. They're actually getting some work done here on this drainage area finally with some concrete finally. So we may see this all finished off very soon. Seems to be taken quite a few months to get this tiny little bit of area finalised. This photo shows it too. So some fresh concrete going on in here. I'm not sure where the edge of this side of the concrete is. Perhaps it is just through there, that edge. I can't remember now. It's been so long.
I think it is because the fire stand wouldn't fit, the static fire stand.
Yep. Oh, it is too. Yep, it's right over. Yep, it's about near the edge of the door. Can we see that? Over, no, quite. Oh, yeah. Yep. It's sort of in line with the edge of the door there. Yep. Well, it wouldn't fit through right now.
Now, I guess the question is do they use the high bay bridge crane to put 31 on the static fire stand, or do they roll it into Mega Bay 2 like they have before? Because it can fit in there. It can fit in high bay. But see.
It must be a tight fit.
Yeah,
Is it the same?
It may not be able to go all the way in. I don't know how much room there is between that and the turntable in the back.
Well, they could do like they do a grain harvester on a farm, where you can kind of go in on a bit of an angle and twist around and sort of, like wiggle your way in. You can usually get a grain harvester through a narrow gate if you wiggle the way around a bit. Don't ask me how I know that. Spent way too much time on equipment like that. All right. So news in the Mega Bay 2 is they've moved ship 31 over to the left
33.
stand. Bit of a wiggle and jiggle. They took it off the turntable and put it on the center stand. I'll use the top as the bottom. Took it off the turntable and put it onto the middle stand. Then they lowered the 4-point lifter down. And then they picked it back up again, and we assume they swapped bridge cranes doing that, which kind of silly. Wouldn't you think they'd be able to run the other bridge crane right over, like bring them both right over here? But anyway, then they put ship 33 over on that far stand, which means we may see some ship 34 parts come in soon-ish, which isn't good news for ship 31.
I think they're still flying. At least, if anything, I think they're still flying 31 because they can have 31 ready by the end of the year. Even with replacing the heat shield, 33, that's pushing it, getting it ready by the end of the year. So
yeah, that's true. You're true.
So 33 probably won't be ready for flight until early Q2 of next year. So you're probably talking April. It would be my guess is when it'd be ready to fly. So yeah, it takes a while to get these vehicles from stacking to cryo to engine testing to fly. I don't know if the process has changed with Block 2. My guess is the first Block 2 will take a little bit longer. They've got new plumbing, they've got new valves. There's a lot of changes with the vehicle, so I would guess it's going to do a couple more than just 2 cryos, get the, walk through all the system tests, and it might do more than one static fire to, verify all the systems. So I would expect a slightly longer test campaign with 33 than the later Block 1 ships because it's so new. So, but yeah.
I've
So
heard.
you're saying it's a bit of a Pathfinder.
Yeah, we'll see if it I assume it flies. I don't see why it wouldn't. Unless they break it badly, like really badly, then it might not fly. But I mean, let's say that it does. Let's say that 33 doesn't fly. Okay, let's just posit this right now. So 33 doesn't fly and 31 does. So maybe 31's flight is at latest, let's say January, assuming the catch goes well and they don't destroy their arms and all that other fun jazz. So then You haven't started 34 yet. Say you start 34 in October. Let's say 34 starts in a month. I think it'll be quicker than that. I think it'll start sometime mid-late September at this rate, because we see in their progress on that nose cone. I think they just need to add the flaps and flap fairings to it. So I would give them like 2-3 weeks until we see that nose cone go into the Star Factory. Wouldn't be that surprised. The question is how far along the other sections are. But if 33 doesn't fly, they're not flying another ship until summer of next year. After 31. I don't think the program can afford to wait that long. They kind of need 33 to fly. So, I think it'll be a Pathfinder, but I think it's going to fly.
We think this is 34's nose cone, I think.
Yeah, which it looks pretty close.
Yeah, it's looking nice and pretty. So we can assume this has got the new tiles on it as well, I would imagine. Okay, back to the photos. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, we'll continue over to the back of the factory. So, Alexi, going back on flights. I saw around the chats a bit that by the time they get this launch pad ready for the Flight 5 and then do Flight 5 and perhaps need to do some repairs for Flight 6, we may not see Flight 6 this year even. I don't mean to jinx it on everybody there, but that may be a reality yet. Okay, around the back of the factory, this isn't the best photo shot. Let's find a better photo. I think it's this photo. Oh, hang on. Hold that thought. This one. They've moved the flaps, aft flap rack from here over to there. And Alaska Space was telling me that they drove them all the way around. They drove them all the way around from here, all the way around Mega Bay 2, all the way around the factory, all down Highway 4, down St. Martin, and then around here, just to move them that far, which is kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Because Tent 4 was in the way.
Just get rid of 10-4.
Please.
Don't worry, Alex. You'll have your day one day. I'm sure they have to, don't they? Get rid of this sooner or later.
This thing is an abomination.
As you might see, Alex has a love affair with that Tent 4. So they've still got one flap down here. So I guess a good reason for this is to move the flaps in the factory here. There's no door over here. They would have had to run them all the way around Mega Bay 2 to get them into the door over there on the other side of Mega Bay 2. And now they can just quickly chop them straight into the factory through that door. This door.
Just like move that tent into the factory and call it a day. Please and thank you.
Move the whole tent in there. Ooh, no.
Or move all the equipment and call it a day. Please and thank you. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, I can see. I don't have a good overall photo, but anyway, I can see a day when, as these lines over here are more operational, that this original part of Star Factory may be able to clear it up from making rings. They may start creating rings in this area along here. And so that'll free up this whole original part of the Star Factory, and then they could easily... the bakery's not really very big. They could even fit it in this little spot here, to be honest. We may see it eventually get put inside. And have your wish, Alex. Okay, not much to note here. I think it was speculated whether they're going to move these over the top of these or not, but we can see holes in the side here. So it looks like they're just going to plumb these in externally. And these, of course, are the chillers for the new office building, which I'm told by a reliable source has 300,000 watt of cooling
About
effect.
360 BT tons of cooling.
Cool.
Which
Really?
is
No,
excessive for the
each one of those is 360. So my bad. So close to 15, over 1,500, 1,800.
which is excessive for just spatial cooling of the new office. I think you were saying too, Alex.
Yes.
A little interesting note is this nice little pattern on one of these aft flaps, which I've got no idea what that's about. Oh, look, they're still using a generator. There's the parts delivery here. Not sure they were here last week or not, but we got some header tank sumps. They kind of look like where the new downcomers, 3 downcomers come off the common dome, but I'm being reassured by Nick, one of the people that animate for Zach, that they're actually the header tank sumps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that passed nicely finished up. Okay, let's move over to. Well, we're a bit ahead of time. That's fine. The questions we'll get questions that'll fill in the time. They always do. Just quickly at this ring yard, not a lot of changes. Whether these are new rings or the rings we saw last week as well, there's not much changed in this area at all. Nice boggy mess going on over here. With that, we'll go to the factory. I mean, the office, sorry. The old block of land's almost disappeared. We've got the little bulldozer that finally has been flattening it out for them. It took a little while for them to be able to do that. Took way too long to be able to do that.
It's such a weird looking roof. Kind of a little wavy.
I know, that's a weird section, that little section through there. Someone's CAD was working overtime to get that all nicely. So I imagine there's going to be a what do you call it, wall here, fascia wall up here, parapet wall to hide all that.
Next bays they're adding is going to be strange as well.
It's actually going back up the other way. These bays that are actually lower down here, that's going to be strange too. They're only going to come in down at sort of this height, aren't they?
It's going to be weird diagonals as it all gets hooked in and everything. It's going to look wrong at first.
That already
Once
looks
it's all
wrong.
done, well, once it's done, we won't notice it much, but it's going to be a bit before it's done.
It's already kind of wrong. So I can see what I was expecting a counterbalance. I keep getting that word wrong.
Cantilever.
Cantilever, thank you. And instead they've put these, and I've been corrected, these columns to match up with these columns. I keep calling them beams, and PK the architect saying, "What's this beams? It's beams and columns. Get it right."
They're posts.
So they're lining up through there, and there's another one over on the. Is there 3 or 2 along this one here?
There's 3.
And of course, the one of them goes down. They're just switching back to X again, and who we got this time? Sean, on behalf of Marcus House. I'll click downloads them. That's interesting. We can see. Oh, we can't see. We can see this one here sitting on top of that post, and I think that one. No, that's not one. That's inside. There's one on. Oh, you can't see it in this photo. There's one on. There it is. There. This one here comes down on the outside on the outside of that little fascia wall there. Good little photo here to show this angled glass going to come down through here, miss this beam and end up down here. So we'll have this. This is going to be weird. Is they going to drop it down this side as well? It's going to look kind of weird.
I think it's going to mirror how it goes up on the other side of the building.
But I mean, it's already. Yeah. Anyhow, we'll soon see. Oh, that's the glass is only down here, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, sorry, I knew that.
It's very confusing just looking at all these columns and beams and floors.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a mishmash of cross beams through there. So we've got some of the steelwork going on for that flooring. We'll see concrete at some stage, and the roof's coming along. I think since last week they've been adding more of these little studs in here, and looks like they're putting walls. They had this last week, walls in here. Since last week they've finished all the glass up to this point anyway, ready to go on to the next bit of glass once that front's finished. Now we just swing around here. Also interesting to note, they've started to open the wall up here. They've cut some Z-girts here on both sides. So this wall's actually been suspended by the soldier columns for now. I'd always imagine they'd open up these walls once they got these laneways through. So it looks like obviously it's going to be a laneway here with the bridge crane. We can see the bridge crane rails in here that ends somewhere just here. And there's another bridge crane rail. Oh, it's hard to see in amongst all there, but there's one in there as well. So that bridge crane will continue out of that bay. So we can expect to see this bay the same, and we can expect to see these two bays as well come through as well. And we have yet again a different sort of section of Star Factory. Here's a good shot of the window completion on the 4th level. Still no idea what's going on with these square and triangle holes. It's a bit like, you don't have it at play school. There's a triangle window and a square window.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Oh?
No, I for a second thought of something, but it left.
I hate it when that happens.
It happens to the best of us.
This building does this to me.
This building makes like no sense in a lot of ways. I was hoping for a fully symmetrical building, and then they build a weird mezzanine level. And it's just like, why?
SpaceX. That's why.
SpaceX is SpaceXing.
Yeah. So they're pouring some concrete first in this area, just to be confusing again, and they didn't over this area. There's been quite a few areas in the Star Factory where they've done either. I remember all this section here was all concreted first, but then those other sections over here, especially the other end, were not concreted. Where's the photo? This one. Some of this area, all in here, was concreted after they finished construction. So that's a little bit confusing.
They're probably going to put a fake parapet wall on this side to make it look like it's all one height.
Along here? Huh.
No, the 4th and 5th floor, that wall is probably going to be solid, where it's going to intersect the other part of the factory, just so...
That's going to look wrong.
Yeah, there's so much about this building that
Well, there's no steel work. There might be enough for one more piece of glass along that bit, but yeah, there's nothing in here to suggest there's any glass going in here. That's correct.
And the low addition looks like it's going to have a solid wall as well.
Yep, all the way around. Yep, a nice window out here. Lots of work going on all the floors. We can see through the floors, which we've been noticing over the last few weeks. Oh, the rooftop, been.
What do you think? Like a big triangle skylight right there, or something?
Yeah, inside there's those two trapezoid and triangle sections that are a couple floors over there.
Excuse
I
me.
think this is one of the buildings until you're inside it, then it'll make sense. But from the outside, it's just insanity.
That's good. It's SpaceX. Everything they do is insanity.
Since last week, they've finished filling in these parapet walls with the studs and excuse me, and they've been lifting insulation here up off the ground. Here we can see it getting lifted up from here.
Yeah, keep it all nice and air conditioned. Those engineers, they need their air conditioning. Technicians don't get it. Engineers, they gotta have it. No, they're special. Yeah.
Indeed, we are spoiled little brats.
Yep, exactly. Software people, engineers, management, all spoiled. Always need your AC. Come on.
All spoiled by the tradesmen.
Yeah.
Tradespeople, perhaps. So yeah, that's some insulation going in the roof. The parapet wall is kind of weird because this isn't. I mean, I'm going to put a big double-story parapet wall here to match. I don't know what's going on there, but I think this height should match this height. I think from photos from one of the cameras that's right out towards the launch site, when it looks back through here, it looks like that roof's pretty close to the same height as this roof. Okay. So I think we covered everything at the new office. I said there's still a heap of construction work. I mean, a lot of muddy groundwork going on down here with electrical. I imagine that I think we saw them a couple of weeks ago. I thought they were still there, the two chiller pipes, but I imagine
Looks
by
like
now
them.
they've actually plumbed them into the building. Oh, what's going on here? Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that over the near future. Yeah, some crazy sort of shapes and sort of open areas going on in this building. It'd be really, really nice. It'd be a really interesting building to walk into and have a look around, just to have a look at the building, let alone what goes on in there. So we've got some work going on over here as well. Let's move on over to the village. You'll have to excuse my voice this morning, sorry. Off to the village, we've got... It looks like they've filled in some of the blocks. Let's look over the last few weeks and have a closer look at that.
Yeah. Slowly building more and more houses as they go.
Yeah, so there's just an example. I think this came up in chat earlier, a question about this little block here. Looks like a staging area for soil materials and equipment. So even last week we only saw foundations getting poured, and now they're already framing this new house up, so it's going ahead nicely. And the sushi bar's slowly going forward. Looks like they're digging more of the footings in there. Now, sorry, one thing, I'm just going to backtrack a second. One thing we noticed, and I haven't got the photo, across the front of the building here, actually, let's go back to Twitter because I have it over there, sorry, X. There's a couple of things. There's a new X logo going on the office building. Sorry to jump around on you. Once again, thanks, Sean. Be sure to give him a follow at X. We've seen this over the last couple of weeks. Getting a SpaceX logo going on there. But there's also a new door. I've got it here somewhere. Some nice photos coming through from that storm the other day. I was going to have this photo loaded up. I apologise. It's just down here. Where are you?
Yeah, they're starting to put a door in on the front of the Star Factory facing Stargate. Wherever that picture is. But yeah.
I think I missed it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're finally putting a front door in. Which is like right near the sidewalk they installed, all the landscaping, and then they're putting palm trees out front. So they're finally doing landscaping stuff.
I know where it is. No, it's the other one. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, thanks for your patience. Hang on.
I dropped something on LiveCom. One of Lab's photos.
That's Stephanie. If you check the live commerce studio.
I'll do that. Thank you. Got it. Thanks. Thanks for your patience. One second. Right, I've got it. Ta-da! And so they put some palm trees across the front here and some shrubbery. Bit of a thing from Monty Python there, shrubbery.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Yeah, weird shaped sort of door. I think you're saying it matches this Stargate building, I think is what that matches. Just
Well, it
across the
faces
lane.
the Stargate building. I think it just kind of matches the whole facade or whatever, I guess, of it. I mean, it's kind of the same shape as the office building from up top. I don't know. SpaceX likes their corners.
Sort of looks like the Stargate
I guess.
door.
Ish.
Ish.
Yeah, if you
Ish.
squint.
Yeah.
But at least we now know why that bit of footpath does that weird little angle in there to that point. So another little retrofit by SpaceX.
Yeah, they were planning on a door that just didn't cut it in yet, didn't make a cutout yet, basically.
We'll head back over to the village. So, little development here at the rec centre as it appears to be what appears to be a swimming pool has been put in. I think it looks better from this angle. We can actually see it as a swimming pool. Maybe this photo. So it appears to have a, no, not that photo. It appears to have a deep end and a shallow, maybe a kid's swimming area. Just bear with me for a sec.
I think they refer to that as a beach entry.
Oh, this photo will do anyway. Yeah, this is the photo that shows it. So a shallow end and a deep end, and perhaps a sitting sort of area. I've had a fair bit to do with concrete pool construction over the years. So probably a top of concrete formwork at the top, and from there they'll measure everything down. Everything in a swimming pool is measured from the top down, as opposed to a building where everything's measured from the bottom up. And that's, of course, because you've got to work with the final water level as a final product. Okay, at this time we might drop over to questions and donations, please, Joe, for the build site, office building and village, please.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Early on at the build site, I had to step away, and I don't have context for this question, but it was early on at the build site, I can tell you that. Craneman asks, what is the grouting inside of the trench for, and how deep does it go? Is it forming a base for the trench bottom, or forming a pile cap by itself without rebar?
I think that's for the launch site.
Yeah.
Craneman, what are you doing to me, buddy? All right. Well then, I'll save that for later. Phil asks, what will be the first ship and booster for Raptor 3s, do you all think?
That's $1 million question.
Ship.
42.
Good one.
I'll say like ship like 36, 37. I know I'm giving two numbers, but deal with it. And then booster, I just don't know what the first Block 2 booster is going to be. It's probably like 18 or something like that.
So, Ryan, do you think there has to be a Block 2 booster, and maybe with version... my question, I guess, is if a ship or booster is designed for Raptor 2, would Raptor 3 retrofit into it without much modification?
They'd have to modify the thrust puck, or at least the attachment points, onto the puck itself because the LOX inlet is slightly different. At least that part we know of, based off pictures. I don't know about the rest of the hookups. My guess is the regular commodity hookups, like your helium spin start, or your gaseous methane or oxygen for your igniters, your torch igniter start, are still the same. Probably still the same hookups. You're just regular old tubing with B-nuts. It's pretty simplistic, but sounds like the LOX inlet's a little bit different. I don't know about the methane inlet. I think overall, though, it really depends on can vehicles that were built for Raptor 2 handle the increased thrust of Raptor 3? Because it's a significant increase in thrust. If we go by the numbers, I don't know if the thrust pucks built would be able to handle that, or if they would have to add more reinforcement to the aft sections of both vehicles in order to actually use it. That is the question. So I don't know, but my guess would be later 30 ship and maybe booster 18 or later. Maybe booster 19 even is be my guess.
It'll be probably like a block 2 point something, since
0.5
aft
or
will,
whatever.
yeah, because the aft will definitely have to be rebuilt.
Block 2B. But And well, I see someone, and I'll say this too: a Block 2 ship can go on a Block 1 booster. There's no reason why it can't. The hookup interface is still the same. They wouldn't have been able to put Ship 33 on a work stand if the clamp system weren't the same. So, they're both those can integrate. And not only that, Block 2 ships should have no issues with going on to Orbital Launch Pad A. It's because, as far as I can tell, the QD isn't any different. Still pretty much the same. Block 2 booster is a whole different story, but we don't really know what the changes are on that. But I suspect the changes they're going to make to that will not even work with Pad A. So.
And another question I see is, which I think they can, version 2 ships can sit on version 1 boosters. I think we know that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I want to thank Six String Simpleton for renewing the membership. Thanks for your continued support. Sorry, I had to scroll there. And Liam Donald is asking, says, my fiance Kylie really likes the tiles. What's the difference between the new and old tiles?
I don't know. Like material composition. They're not bigger. They're not smaller. They don't have a different color. And they look exactly the same. My guess is the way, the mix that they have for the carbon, the ceramic that they make them out of is slightly different. To make a stronger material would be my guess, is the only thing that's actually different.
And maybe the substructures that they snap the pins onto the pins.
Yeah.
Missing Tools has a question for the village. Are some of the lots part of the land swap deal with Texas Parks?
Yes.
Oh,
Simple enough.
Because
Uh,
aren't the land swaps a little bit more farther over to the east from here?
There's one at the end of San Martin, and then most of them are past the old the crane yard.
Yeah, it's been a bit since I looked at that.
All right, Stephen Lewis is asking in chat, will boosters have 35 Raptors? Which one first?
They may not even have 35 Raptors. Like, I'll say this, they made the EIS, and they kind of gave them, like, the Starship Block 3 version 3 may not even be the ship may not even be 70 meters tall. They put that in there as giving them basically wiggle room to add if they want to, and make it that high if they want to.
But we just lost you, Ryan.
It doesn't mean that that's what. Am I still here?
Yep. Got you back. And we lost you again. So I think what Ryan's saying,
my ping just went really high. That's why. Am I back? No,
Yep,
I'm
you're back.
kind of
Yep.
back. I don't know. The ping keeps fluctuating on here. Dang it, Comcast! Could you not? Okay. But they put those numbers in so that they have wiggle room. Basically, is what it is. It doesn't mean that it's going to be 70 meters tall or 35 engines. I mean, just look at the old EIS for 39A. They said they were going to have 37 engines on booster. And, well, they didn't do that, so.
All right, good enough. I've got a good segue question here. Barefoot Music asking, anyone know the rough weight of Hoppy?
Oh, that's going back a bit. Less than 100 and what was version 1? What was that Raptor engine? 150 ton thrust? Less than 150 ton?
Raptor 1 was 185. I do not know what the thrust rating was for Raptor SN6. I would guess somewhere in like the 170, 180 range. So and man, Hoppy is 12 millimeter thick steel too on the tank walls.
Plus, it has those steel legs.
Yeah, I would assume Hopper is at least 100 tons. I wouldn't be that surprised.
And it's got like those legs and that. There's steelwork on the inside of that tank as well that we don't see on these, obviously on the new starships and boosters. It's quite overbuilt. Hopper. That's a good segue going into the launch site. We'll just come back to that question in 1 second. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I got a speed run of questions here. Just came in. I just got flooded. Henry Blackburn asks, "Will SpaceX build a faster vehicle transportation system between each site in the future?"
I mean, there's only so fast that you want to move a vehicle of that size and weight. There comes a point where it's like, as much as we want to go faster, it can get real dangerous if you go too fast. And the SPMTs can only really go at a certain speed when they got a load on them. So,
Yeah, I think they're pretty efficient as is. Mohammed asking, "But if they made the ship taller, will it be necessary to use 35 Raptors on the booster?"
Probably. But it might change the staging profile.
Sure. Yep, makes sense. All right. Last question I'm going to take here from Space Noodles. Which first? Pad A gets its upgrades done, Flame Trench, OLM, etc., or a Starship flight out of Florida?
Starship flight out of Florida. Yeah. No. They'll want both 39A and Pad B here operational before they take out Pad A offline. Would be my guess. I don't know when they'll start 39A. If you've seen the Polaris flyover pics, they got rid of the manifold they had plus the legs, and it's just kind of barren right there, just kind of sitting doing nothing. So, I doubt. I'd be surprised if they didn't get 39A operational before they redo Pad A, to be honest. But I guess it's SpaceX, so who knows?
Pad B will have probably one launch before they start construction at 39A. Or restart it, I should say.
Well, that's interesting answers there, guys. I'd be very interested to see what happens there. I wouldn't have even thought that 39A would even get started by then, but thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, does that let us go over to launch site now, Joe?
Yep, let's go.
A nice distant shot here. Now, I guess what's on the tip of everybody's tongue is, I'll go straight to it, I think, is what's happening with Hopper. No, not that photo. This photo will do. So Hopper over here was always questionable whether it was going to stay here or not. And if we look at this photo where these new tanks are going to go in here, it looks like it actually is going to be in the way. If we look at the distance from the highway to here, it's sort of impedes on the equipment here on the other side of the tank farm. So in this week's photo, we've noticed some embeds here, which look particularly designed for Hopper.
Kind of obvious where it's going at this point.
Here's the better photo, yep. So now there was talk that it may be saying temporarily going here, then going to the office, but I think in show and tell we sort of speculated. I mean, Hopper's looking pretty sort of, torn up these days. I don't know they'd want something like that in their brand new office. I know the triangle does seem to suggest that, and that may end up going in there, but personally I think it's going to stay out here. That's the big news of Hopper. Now, with it being here, it was also talked about it's going to make it hard for the cameras to view a launch here unless they sit the cameras actually under hopper, which could be a thing, which would give them a little bit of protection from falling debris, I guess.
Need to find a way to get cameras on hopper for flights. Gotta do
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the original gateway, wasn't it? Over here on that drawing, but that drawing that we saw, it's not, I don't think it's that accurate. I do notice they put the arrows on the wrong side of the road here. You probably have to be Australian to understand that.
No, they're on the right side of the road. I mean, they're on the right side. The one, yeah, no, right side. It's fine. Most of the world does that side, so it's right. Yep.
All right, moving on. We'll go to the trench. The trench is fairly active this week. We've seen a second row of sheet piling going in. Now, did we see some going the other way, Alex? Did you see some finishing this trench off?
This morning, yeah, they closed off that end right through that gap.
And is there a gap in here, or is that just they've run them down?
It's a gap. They pulled out the sheet piles that was there. So they're
interesting.
Commodities trench.
Yes, and this way they can build it concurrently without interfering with the main trench.
So why does the commodities trench go quite this far over here when the LM's sort of, I suppose it's sort of here, isn't it? The other big question is, so commodities, fair enough to come from the bunker here around to get here. Now, where's water deluge coming into this area, do we think? Around here as well?
Probably through the front where the generators and the lifts are. Probably, yeah, coming across there.
Through here?
Yeah, because the pipes will be buried underground.
Absolutely.
And the other
water deluge is not that. The water deluge is sort of this area, isn't it?
Correct. According to the diagram. But there's already somewhere changes. Yeah. And it'll be probably 5 of the Massies size water tanks. And
okay, go on.
The other mystery with the trench is they've backfilled part of it. So
they smoothed it out.
And they piled up a bunch of crane mats.
So does that mean they're going to bring a crane in here for some reason in the interim? Because we kind of expect the next thing to do, they're going to dig this out, I guess, but obviously not.
Or they're going to hang the chopsticks sooner than we all thought, because they might want to hang them before they dig out the trench, because that'll make it challenging.
So would they need this crane to move into here, perhaps?
Perhaps. Or the chopsticks will sit there, and then the crane will just lift it.
Gotcha. Yep, that makes more sense, doesn't it? I kind of thought it might be just to keep the area a bit clean, because this grey stuff must be a bit of a nightmare to have on all the equipment and trucks and everything. But now what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Or I'll enjoy some more crow.
We're on a healthy diet this month.
Yeah, go full paleo.
So since last week, they've installed this plate on top of the wall here and reattached the pipe, and we're pretty confident that they're starting to fill the section module 1's legs, and that should continue on as they finish the welds on each between the two modules. That should continue all out the tower over time.
And they installed the rails between 1 and 2. You
We're
can
trying to see
almost
that. It's pretty hard to see whether they actually have or not, but I think we saw that on some ground cameras, didn't we?
yes.
Interesting too, they've moved the crane back again and they've loaded up the counterweight tray again, indicating that this is getting lowered in the next, going to be lowered to the ground to reconfigure in the coming week. So it should get a shorter main boom and a shorter, if any, a shorter lufting jib. Okay, moving around on the other side. Move around to this side. See a little excavator in the commodities bunker, digging down low. And we think that's to clear the trench here underneath where electrical is going to come. There's some more electrical conduits ready to go in. Electrical to come across. Well, there's already electrical underground here somewhere. It ends here. It may even end just here, actually, considering that's where the shoring finishes. And then, of course, they'll continue that electrical. Whether they go straight to these vaults here, or we did see a lot of conduits put in here when they put those bolts in. They ended up underground just here somewhere. So whether they're coming into this building or that building, or they're going straight to the bolts, kind of looks like they're going straight to the bolts, to be honest.
They're digging a pretty deep canyon there.
Yeah.
Because right now it's between 10 and 15 feet.
You can see steps down here. Oh, and there too. It is quite deep on that angle.
Yeah, it's about 10, and then the bottom of that vault is, I think, around 15 feet.
So when I first saw this boat, I thought that this area was actually high, but it's not. It's that area is low, isn't it?
Yes.
We
The
saw a concrete pump pumping. I thought they were pumping the floors in here, but looks like they're not. They were pumping. Was it that piece of concrete?
They thought they did that a couple nights ago, and I want to say that they might have been filling in the trench where the three shoring is, that they already put the conduits below at the vault.
Yeah.
The big square vault. No, I think they're filling. I think they have pipes leaving the big square vault where if you had, yeah, there. I think they already put conduit in those, because one of the shots, it looked like the boom was pouring into that area, and
Okay.
they'll probably extend that a little bit more further. They
On
dig.
one of the ground cameras, you mean?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I thought I saw a photo somewhere around where you can actually see some conduit in there, to be honest. Can we just see conduit there?
I
Oh, not quite.
thought I remember seeing that's why I also thought that they had started filling in, covering those conduits with concrete. I'm imagining seeing it.
Okie dokie. Hopper. Okay, anything else of interest in this area? What's going on the tower? So we haven't seen those new gussets in the tower yet. They put another netting up here. They haven't added any more roof yet. I think some scaffolding was removed down the bottom of the tower.
Yeah, the bottom columns are done with module 1, so I mean, at this point, we're kind of just waiting for them to finish setting up everything and start digging out and building up the OLM area. Is kind of what we're waiting on at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
They're-
going to be a lot of. I'll go.
They're welding 8 to 9 currently modules, so
That's a long way up.
you can see the guy welding right underneath the bright orange, the neon. Up one level.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Very good. So also concurrently, they're going to be obviously doing a lot of this work over this side as well to start getting the new pump farm and the trenches and that going in. But yeah, the big thing to watch now will be the OLM construction, which, yeah, a lot of people are going to either, I guess we're pretty sure now it's going to be a dual trench type thing, or we're going to need a lot of crow. One of my favourite things. Okay, so I'll move over to quickly over to the tank farm. It almost appears like there's gravel or something here. We worked out it's just water, and it's weird that there's a dip in the concrete here, but it just wasn't formed flat in the first place, or that was by design for some kind of drainage. I'm not sure. You would hope it's not.
There's always a lot of water between those LOX tanks, and it was full of algae
You'd hope it wasn't the concrete moving, but this. I mean, I remember the photos when this concrete was poured. It's quite a thick piece of concrete. That
Maybe it's sagged a little bit.
I hope not, but yeah.
I mean, it's not like it matters anymore. They don't have tanks on there anymore. So I would guess, like, if they wanted to put new tanks in there, they would break that up and then drill piles and then do another pile cap. Because they do love their piles these days.
Yeah, that's right. This has no piles in it. It's a floating piece of concrete. And it's a massive piece of concrete. And it's in two halves, if I remember correctly, too.
It is.
Let's say I'd have to go back to, I think that was poured in May of 21. I think it's like between SN11 and 15.
Yeah, my memory doesn't go back quite
Before-
that
or
far as well
before
as
that.
yours
No, it
does.
was before that because they had a GSE tank installed before during SN15, so it had to have been like around SN11. Yeah, that would have been April 21 or so.
Okay. I thought I was going to leave a bit more time for this, but to talk about the tower. So we've moved some vaporizers from here. We'll just keep moving along a bit here just because there's not a lot to talk about on the tank farm. We'll go over to Pad A area now. The thing they're doing up here is they're adding a roof to the tower, which is kind
3 years later. Like, I mean, it's kind of funny.
Perhaps they're going to put some protection on top of here as well.
Now you're talking crazy.
Yeah,
Protection
what?
from
This is
landing.
SpaceX we're talking about here. They added those new gusset plates on the top parts of the tower there.
Yeah,
Some
I'll
of
just
it
swing
at
around.
least. I wonder if they are legitimately worried that this tower will bend a little bit.
Well, they seem to be adding them up here. You see them in here, the new gussets. So just as a difference, that one's not new. That one is new. That one's new. I imagine this is the area where the carriage is going to be when they do the landing. And
Somewhere around there.
and perhaps, I mean, it's during lifting and so on, they may have had a laser looking at this. I mean, these sort of structures always bend a little bit. Maybe it's bending a bit too much. So I've seen a lot of... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, and yes, a tower that size will bend forward. When you put like a 350 ton load to one side, it's going to bend.
So it's going to bend in a couple of ways. With the carriage, I'm sort of imagining that when you put load on this part, the carriage would pull a bit off center, like bend the tower a little bit. I mean, it kind of should be balanced a bit, but I'm sure that's going to be a lot heavier on that side. So the carriage will pull a bit because, I mean, most of the load comes through the cable, I'd imagine. And so it comes down on this side here, which is an off-center load again, which causes bending. So between the two of them, there should be quite a lot of stress on the tower right here. Chopsticks, has been heaps and heaps and heaps of work still going on the chopsticks with adding the doublers, and they've added quite a lot of the landing pads on the side of the landing rails. It's been quite busy. They're continuing to work on the dampeners to get those, the geometry, as Ryan Hansen last week was talking with Zach about, to get the geometry changed so the dampeners are more vertical when they're in their raised position, I think he was saying.
I think they added a second piston for lifting them.
Yeah, there's two now. I think this one and this one's now actuators rather than just the one in the past. They were busy working on this ship lifting point. They've added a heap of burn plates to the top of the BQD. I guess the question gets asked where they're going to do the landing, and it's pretty 100%, 99% sure they're going to land over the OLM for a number of reasons, including the burn plates. But the way they've been doing the slap testing with the booster 14.1 here, so the programming for the actuators has all been around the center here. So to do it off to the side, they'd have to reprogram the actuators, and one would have to be completely retracted.
They might do that drop testing off to the side just so they don't accidentally drop 14.1 on the OLM. Because, like, they don't need to move the actuators with 14.1. They just need to test the landing rails. So they may do that over the area where they pick vehicles up. So, but I don't know. Who knows? Again, we'll see what they do. But I think it'd be kind of bad if all of a sudden they lost control of 14.1 and it drops onto the like the boost 2 QD and the cold down arms. I don't know how well that would end.
That'd be a bad day.
Yeah.
Goes straight through the center to the shower head. Well, the other reason I'll probably catch over the OLM, it'll even the stress on the carriage.
Yeah, there's quite a few reasons, and quite a lot of reasons. I mean, it also we know they're going to activate the water system on landing, so the flames mostly will come down, or some of the flames will come down through the center. I mean, it's only going to be one or three engines up here. It's going to be like the booster's going to be quite high. I guess the bottom of the booster will be down here somewhere.
It'll be 3 engines at like half power compared to 33 at max. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Over in this area, we can see some of the new well doublers going in. Where are they? Here, these ones. And once again, just quickly over on X. Lots and lots of man. I think there's a record of man lifts up on the aerial platforms and cranes up on the chopsticks through the week.
Yeah, it's a little quiet right now.
So here's one of those. One of those weird doublers with the little angly bits at the end. Angly bits?
That is the technical term as far as I'm aware.
Got to have the technical. And the stops, I think that's one of the stops if in the center of the chopsticks. I think they're affectionately being known as the nutcrackers.
The nutcrackers.
We can see the weld doublers are being slowly used up. I can't see a new lot.
There's a couple in with the weld doublers, I think, somewhere around your hand down. Really rusty, right in there. Yep.
And then over by the old M, there's the rest of the bumpers, which the right chopstick has them all installed. The left one still, there's a few left to be installed as of today. So they're almost done with all of them.
It looks like they're going to allow a lot of room for the booster to land anywhere along the rail. I mean, eventually with Tower 2, it's going to need to land sort of somewhere there, but I guess...
Like,
I mean, the leverage... Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
The adverse leverage out here must start to get a little bit, concerning as well.
I know these are a little bit big, and it's hard to control them when they close. But god dang, the new ones, they're too small. I'm sorry, they're too small. I honestly think they need to be a little bit bigger. Like, instead of 4 truss sections, like 3, and not 2, if you know what I mean. But
yeah, even sort of to that distance, perhaps.
Yeah, like cut one off. I think that would be fine. It would look a lot better, and it gives them a little bit of margin for error. I think they made them way too short. You don't have much margin for error on the newer ones.
I mean, booster can land all the way into here, can't it, and still have room to miss the hinge area.
Yeah,
These tanks. So go ahead.
I think the short ones have at least 10 meters of rail.
So these tanks, I think on this side, a couple of these were replaced with ones off the other carriage. I noticed the other carriage only has one set of these accumulators too, and not on both sides of the carriage, which is interesting. I guess they'll add that. And if you look at the chopsticks that are at Sanchez compared to these, there's a massive amount of things that are missing off the new chopsticks. They haven't even bothered to start yet. Which once again, I think they're waiting for some landing on here before they even attempt to think about what they're going to do with the new chopsticks.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to. I'm trying to finish on time today. Ryan, I appreciate your input. Would you like to just finish what you're saying? I'll go to questions.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what the next round of B14.1 testing reveals and what else they have to do to it. But yeah.
There's a ton of info they're going to, even with this in quotes drop test, and even with the testing they've already done so far, they're gathering huge amounts of data, which they're going to need moving on. With that, we might go to questions, please, Joe.
All right. I want to thank William Foss for gifting a membership. Was his late fee. Appreciate that. And I want to thank JK Video for a $10 super chat who had their question answered in chat. And we'll get back to Crane Man's question from earlier. Is the grouting forming the bottom of the trench, or will it be a pile cap without rebar? How deep does the grouting go?
The grouting is for doing a cutoff hole to keep the groundwater from infiltrating underneath. There'll be a pile cap on top of it. And it's probably going down around 40 feet and filling about 20.
Agreed.
All right, spot on. Raphael Levitt asks, how many more launches do you expect from Tower A before it is upgraded?
I think Ryan was saying earlier, was it, that you had an estimate 3 or 4 launches left in the tower?
Maybe a little bit more. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that many left before that OLM gets sliced and diced up into little bitty pieces.
Agreed. And I guess
Maybe.
that depends on the rocket, the ship development and build and production at the production site, and this tower launch pad B being ready to be used.
All right. Mohammed asking, could they switch the booster QD to the other side based on this commodity trench to not be in the direct path of the flames when the booster doing the tower avoidance maneuver?
They possibly could stack the boosters facing the other direction, but I'm not sure if the clamps for the ship where it connects would work. The symmetry, I
Yeah.
think, because it might, but I'm unsure.
No, that'd require a change between where the ship QD and the booster QD. With the 3 points, it's not symmetrical. You'd have to change something. Maybe
I
just in the hot stage ring.
I thought there were 6 clamp locations, or there used to be.
Oh, I see where you're going with that. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, but only 3 are active in launch, obviously.
Right.
But that's right, because one of the stands we noticed they've got all 6 is at the static fire stand.
I think it is.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Phil asks, how much do you think the stoppers between both arms cause the bouncing since they have removed them now?
I think they removed them just to put weld doublers along that joint, and then they'll put them back. It's the inertia of accelerating the arms that's causing that slap.
All right, and that leads us into Tony Ugg's question. Today we seen they're about to remove the paint on the chops where multiple tubes join. Kind of top left chop near the OLIT end. Any idea what they could do there?
I'm assuming more doublers because they seem to want to reinforce all the welds.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It just seems like they're going after every single one. Something about those last tests told them, maybe we need to reinforce this a little bit more.
I'm wondering if they're going to rebuild with continuous pieces and not weld them together.
You mean
moving forward?
You mean the arms that they have they won't use?
Yes.
That'll be fun to see if after moving them over they just end up scrapping them and rebuilt and redoing it entirely.
We haven't seen the ship cutie arm yet, so
No, there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen for this pad. And yeah.
Agreed.
did we lose
Huh.
Joe?
Yeah,
Sure.
sorry, I was concentrated on other things. Cumulus Granitus, could the short chopsticks be used to replace Tower A chopsticks should the first catch attempt do serious damage?
In theory.
Elon said that they have a set ready to be installed, so presuming that's them.
Simple enough. All right, Stephen Lewis asking, how will the sticks self-center the booster after the catch with bumper pads?
Self-center in the lateral. Go on, right?
Because when it gets caught, the pins are going to hold it in, and then the booster will just kind of be in there. They do have a system, if I remember correctly, to grab onto the pins and kind of move it around to just line it up with the OLM if they wanted to. Well, they're not going to put it back on the OLM because they won't have the alignment pins, so it has to go on a transport stand anyways. But it shouldn't need to self-center if I don't understand what you're trying to talk about.
I was maybe depending where on the rails to move them to
Oh,
the
that way.
yeah. There's a jack screw and
Yeah.
And
And
the Mechzilla, the robot Mechazilla, it's going to know exactly where the booster is. It'll be able to see it. Can see it through radar. Can see it through visual. So the even if the booster's off a little bit, the tower's going to know. The sticks are going to know where the booster is at all times. So they'll be able to adjust a little bit to the booster if necessary. In my opinion.
I don't think the system is going to work that way. I think what's going to happen is it'll be preset to a little bit to where I don't think they're going to do small adjustments to the booster. There'd be too much latency. Because as far as I know, there's no communication system directly on the tower to talk directly to the sticks and control them. That kind of latency would be like booster to the control center or comms bunker or an antenna somewhere, which would then have to go to the comms bunker, which would then go to the tower, and that amount of latency you wouldn't be able to adjust fast enough. My guess is the sticks will be in a preset location, and the booster is going to have to hit that preset location, and then the sticks will have to move in and hug it, catch it, and that's basically what it's going to be. Trying for small movements is kind of hard. There's just going to be too much latency involved, I think.
yeah, and have it syncing up to different control systems that aren't talking to each other is very challenging.
Yeah, it just makes it kind of hard to. And I mean, they may change how the control system works after they try one time. I mean, there's always that too. So I don't know exactly how the system works entirely, but there would be a decent amount of latency for the booster to communicate to a ground station, and then have to go at ground station have to communicate it to the pad. Even with fiber, there's still latency with that having to go through everything.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate your feedback there. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. That was my final question. So I'm going to take this time to plug our buddy Zach, CSI Starbase, is coming out with his new episode today, this afternoon for supporters, and then will be available to the public later this evening. So Jen and I hung out and watched it in his server yesterday doing the quality control stream. It's about 77 minutes long and a very deep dive. It's really good. So make sure to check that out later.
Okay, with that, I think we'll call that a wrap. And I'll start with thanking Ryan Webber once again from NASA Spaceflight. And we thank NASA Spaceflight for letting us borrow Ryan and his brains and his commentary. Thank you very much, Ryan.
It's always fun. It's always a pleasure to talk about Starship with anyone. So, yeah.
Thank you. And I'll thank Alex as well for your good knowledge about the whole area. And I learned quite a lot from Alex. So thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. I'm pleasure to be here and enjoy pretty much every show. Thanks.
And I'll sign up and thank you, everybody, for I see some nice support comments there in the chat. And I really enjoy doing these shows, and I really appreciate the fact I get to fill in for Zach when he's not here. And thank you all once again for joining us. Thank you to all. I'll let Joe sign up and thank everybody else. So bye.
Team that continuously makes things happen all throughout the week. Thanks, RGV, for the awesome pictures. Thanks, Astro Jen, Rocket Prophet, awesome moderation, great chat. Everybody for your awesome donations, keeping RGV in the air. We appreciate you. Most engines cut off, hot staging confirmed. Love you, bye.